Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for visiting us today. Today we have a very special presentation. It has to do with the spirit of leadership. And we're going to get into this with Priest Tyrone and afterwards, and then we will kind of flush out what leadership is all about. And specifically, we're dealing with matters pertaining to Joshua at the wall of Jericho. But before I begin, let's glorify the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength because of the enemy. That thou mightest still the enemy and the avenger. When I consider the heavens, the works of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man, that thou art mindful of him? And the son of man, that thou visitest him? For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with glory and honor. Thou madest him to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, yea, and the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air, and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passeth through the paths of the sea. O Lord our God, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, again, for visiting us at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. As I said, we are going to address the subject of the spirit of leadership. When we speak of spirit, we are specifically dealing with servant, because spirit has an influence, a source. So that's how we are going to look at this. But specifically, I want to look at it from the perspective of the impact that Joshua has had after he took on the leadership of our Israelite nation from Moses, the impact that he has had in his leadership even until this very day. Let us take a look at leadership. Every leader has to follow a prescribed path, one that is unique and allows a select few to accomplish a specific goal. Usually, it's done in the face of adversity. The intensity of the challenge helps to set the tone for the quality of leadership. The leader must learn how to follow given instructions first before he or she can give his or her instructions. Thence, true leadership is the display of humility, discipline, and obedience. Our Israelite forefathers, Moses and Joshua, they stand out as two of our greatest leaders, the most excellent leaders. Two examples of excellent leadership, I should say. Others include Joseph, Daniel, Esther, and especially Jesus. All these leaders had one thing in common. They all shared the spirit of truth. Truth and righteousness that was given by the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, who created the heavens and the earth. So there is my personal definition of what leadership is all about. It is not a dictatorship. It's not doing as you want. It is doing as you are commanded. You're given the authority to do certain things. In other words, you're exercising a routine of following specific instructions. Now, after Moses led our Israelite ancestors out of Egypt, they spent 40 years in the wilderness until the time was right for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to take back, notice I'm saying take back control over the land that he promised to Abraham and his seed. We must remember that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob created the heavens and the earth, and he owns everything. The land of Canaan was promised to us by covenant as part of our royal heritage. So these are important elements that need to be understood up front. While in the wilderness, our Israelite ancestors received the royal law, statutes, and judgments from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And thereby, our ancestors secretly learnt a great deal from the Spirit of truth and righteousness. And I say secretly because in the wilderness, there was nobody else around but us. As a father prepares his children for success in life, excuse me, so the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prepared Joshua and our Israelite ancestors to win when they were obedient to him. And I'll prove that point. Let's go to Psalms 44. I'll read the first 8 verses. We have heard with our ears, O God. Our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days, in the times of old. How thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand, and plantedst them. How thou didst afflict the people and cast them out. So you see, we didn't do this on our own. But yet, we were some of the greatest leaders. More. It says, for they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, but thy right hand, and thine arm, and the light of thy countenance, because thou hast a favor unto them. As I said, there is a covenant relationship, an everlasting covenant. Thou art my king, O God. Command deliverances for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we thread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. In God we boast all the day long, and praise thy name forever and ever. Selah. The point here is that we have a special relationship with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when the time was right, he set the path, laid out a plan, I should say, for the conquest of Canaan. And remember, he owned all the land on earth. So let us now take a look at the conquest of Jericho. There is no doubt that the spirit of leadership is synonymous with our Israelite nation. Hence, before Moses passed, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob handed the baton of leadership, as I said earlier, to his assistant, Joshua. Thanks to Joshua's leadership, the conquest of Jericho remains relevant today. And this is my thrust as far as the leadership, the spirit of leadership is concerned. Because it is not something that occurred back then. It is also relevant today, and I will prove that point. Now, here's what you have to understand. The city of Jericho was a big stumbling stone to all nations. By that, I mean it was a very secured city within very high walls. The walls were about 15 feet high. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob gave Joshua the spiritual advantage that would turn those tumbling stones of Jericho into stepping stones for our Israelite royal family. In other words, where they would have stumped their toes, now we would step up as if they were going up a stairs or a ladder. However, just like the defeat of ancient Egypt, the fall of Jericho is well known, but not fully understood. The misunderstanding is simply, and I don't know how to put this in a better way, I say it is simply the ignorance of those who are not aware of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who created the heavens and the earth. Hence, the spirit of leadership cannot be appreciated from without our Israelite nation. And I'll go to Psalms 147 to prove my point. If we go to verse 19 and 20, it says, He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise the Lord. The point is that one cannot appreciate what one cannot receive. This is why we alone teach regarding the spirit of truth, who is essential to our leadership. Another point, another piece of evidence would be John 14, one of my favorite scriptures. I'll read from 15 to 17. It says, if you, and this is the Christ speaking to his Israelite brethren, if ye love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and then he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him, but you know him, for he dwelleth with you and shall be in you. So if you don't have the truth, then you must have received a lie. It is as simple as that. And this is where people get confused. It is an issue regarding the truth versus the lie, not regarding black versus white, or tall versus short, or rich versus poor. It's always the truth versus the lie. And this is important that we understand this up front. So now I'll give you an example of that ignorance that I talked about a minute ago. And I'm going to look at the prophecy of Noah. Now remember, we are considering here the spirit of leadership, and specifically how Joshua was able to be led by that spirit and conquered Jericho and Canaan. The fall of Canaan reaches very far back in time, even to the days of Noah. However, the fallen hellboys cannot comprehend the wisdom of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So by inventing Chrislam, what they termed Chrislam, and Chrislam, of course, is Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, headed by Freemasonry. By inventing that philosophy, or that philosophical speculation, the fallen hellboys have embraced the lie rather than the truth. They failed to see the prophecy pertaining to the curse of Ham. Instead, they tried desperately to invent a curse of Ham. I think I made a mistake there. They failed to see the prophecy pertaining to the curse of Canaan. Instead, they tried desperately to invent a curse of Ham. So where the scriptures speak about the curse of Canaan, they put the curse of Ham instead. We will see what is written in the scriptures in a minute. Plus, to confirm their high-level ignorance, the hellboys of Chrislam misused our Israelite holy scriptures and substituted their own mistranslation or understanding, I'm not sure. But the scripture was Genesis 9, 20 to 27, and we'll read it in a minute. And that misuse of our scriptures made themselves look even more stupid. That's what happened. They have proven themselves to be liars because they claim that Noah cursed his son Ham. That's a lie. And that caused Ham to have black skin. That's a lie. And therefore, he could be enslaved. That's a lie. That's 3 lies. This is how the fallen hellboys of Chrislam justify our enslavement in the New Egypt. Not only are the fallen hellboys of Chrislam liars, they are ignorant liars who lack the understanding of our Bible. In the beginning, all humans wore a coat of pure melanin, since no human on earth could live without it. Melanin is outside the body and within the body, especially the brain and the heart. Such is the wisdom and creation of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. If you are a human, you cannot live without melanin. Remember that. But let's go to Genesis 9 and read 20 to 27 in order to get the prophecy of Noah and to understand it and appreciate it. It says, and Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken. And he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his 2 brothers without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. Who was his younger son? Ham. And he said, Cursed be Canaan. Repeat, cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And we're going to see how this plays in to the situation with Joshua at Jericho. And he said, continuing, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So Canaan is going to be a servant to Shem, and he's going to be a servant to Japheth. This is going to be fascinating. Let us take a look and see what happened. The Israelite descendants of Shem were enslaved, not Ham. Thanks to Joshua, we settled Canaan in 1405 BCE and fulfilled the prophecy of Noah. So when the time was right, as I said earlier, and we had to take back the land of Canaan from the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Jebusites and all those guys, we went in. The God of Israel sent Joshua in to capture that land. And as a result of what Joshua did, Ham, or Canaan, was cursed because they lost the battle. Not Ham. Ham was not cursed. And you wonder, why would Noah curse Canaan, the son of Ham, and not Ham himself? Well, I think, in my opinion, I would say that if he had cursed his son, then it would reflect on his upbringing. And of course, Noah would look bad in that regard. So he cursed his grandson and not his son. And that is where the Hell Boys got it wrong, because they say that we are the children of Ham because we have black skin, not knowing that black skin is a blessing from the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. That's where the melanin is. The same melanin that's in your brain, the same melanin that's in your heart. You cannot live without it. So to be blessed with it in your skin is great. Now, they talk about white people and black people. Well, I don't know of any white people or black people. I know about black people that look black, that are rich in melanin, like myself, and I know of people that don't have it in their skin, but have it in their heart and their brain. I don't know of any people that look like this. Have you seen anyone that looks like this? This is white. So it doesn't make sense, but therein is the level of ignorance that we have to deal with. And I'm saying this especially to young people, that they would have a different perspective when they see all of this foolishness. They cannot understand the word of God, so they make up their own words. They cannot understand the prophecy of Noah, so they make up their own, and that is a lie. The question begs itself, why? They did all of this so that they can justify their enslavement of the children of Israel. This was done by the Christian Hellboys in the New Egypt, which is the USA, in 1619, or thereafter, 1619. It was the children of Shem that were enslaved in 1619, not Ham. So get that idea out of your head. And these things need to be taught in our schools so that the truth could prevail. Now, let us go to the prophecy of Moses to prove our point. In Deuteronomy 28:68, scripture that we've used many times, it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee," Moses speaking to his Israelite brother, or brethren, I should say. Moses, a descendant of Shem. He says, "The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee." He's not talking to Hamites. He's talking to Shemites, specifically Israelites. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemy for bondmen and bondwomen. And here's the part that everybody missed. And no man shall buy you. No man shall buy you. How can you be sold, but no one can buy you? What it means is that the God of Israel has not surrendered his title of ownership of his own Israelite family. Despite his punishment of slavery, he still remains our Father. And I like that. Consider the Transformers, and if you ever watched that movie, it says on the police cars of the Hellboys, it says to punish and to enslave. Take a look at it. Here in Toronto, our police slogan is to, I forgot what it's called, to serve and to protect and to serve. But they said, the Hellboys and their police car says to punish and to enslave. So somebody knew that we had to be punished and enslaved. But they couldn't understand the difference between Ham and Shem. But there's more. According to the Kabbalah scholars of Chrislam, including Albert Pike, in 1948, the British Freemasons authorized the settlement of the Gentile Ashkenazi Khazars into the land of Canaan. Now remember, the prophecy of Noah said that the God of Israel would enlarge Japheth, and he will dwell in the tents of Shem. And of course, we were established the tents of Shem in Canaan. Now here comes the children of Japheth after we got kicked out. These Gentile Ashkenazi Khazars, being the descendants of Japheth, fulfill the prophecy of Noah. So there it is. You have the Israelites enslaved and not the Hamites, and you have the descendants of Japheth living in our land today, even today, since 1948. So what more do you want? They still can't get it right. But that's why we're here, to teach the truth. Again, the concept of truth is not known without our Israelite nation. You have to be part of the family, and our gates are open to all. So the spirit of leadership builds on the everlasting covenant with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They cannot be the type of leadership that Joshua expressed without an everlasting covenant with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hence, only our Israelite nation was authorized to use the 7-branch candlestick, the circumcision of our males from 8 days and onward, celebration of our new year in the spring, leading to Passover, and the parting of the waters of the river Jordan, just like we parted the Red Sea in the days of Moses. All of this addresses the leadership or the spirit of leadership. And it was only given to us as Israelites. Thanks to the spirit of leadership from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Joshua received great assistance from the captain of the host that was sent by the God of Israel. And you can read that in Joshua chapter 6. However, let us take a brief look then at how this entire situation unfolded. For 6 days, the Israelites marched quietly around Jericho, led by 7 priests with 7 trumpets of ram's horns. Then on the 7th day, they marched 7 times around Jericho, and the priests blew their trumpets while the people shout with a great shout, and the massive walls of Jericho collapse. So I want you to understand that very carefully, because I'm going to use that summary to show you how this has impacted our lives today, some 3,000 years later. The captain of the host he was sent by the God of Israel, obviously, to help Joshua. He gave him the details of the battle plan. And This is fascinating because it was similar to what happened to Moses when he saw the burning bush. The point here is that everything has a past and a future. A present has a past and a future. And it's important to understand this because sometimes you have to look backwards to see the prophecy pertaining to the present situation. And then with that, you could see the indicators that would lead to the future. Let us see. So you see, Joshua had a situation, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm sure Priest Tyrone will express that also. But the captain of the host came to his assistance from the God of Israel. And there was a similar situation with Moses at the burning bush. So now, let us go into the significance that is attached to the walls, or the falling of the walls of Jericho, and how they impact the children of slavery today. Have you ever heard of the Negro spirituals? Right. These Negro spirituals were sang from the time the slaves got off the slave ships. And they were, as I said, about 3,000 years later when we were brought from Western Africa to Virginia. And the success that Joshua displayed at Jericho impacted the slaves and their descendants even unto this very day. We know that the Hellboys did what they were supposed to do as far as our punishment of slavery was concerned. The Christians enslaved the children of Israel in the New Egypt because we read earlier in Deuteronomy 28:68 that is how it had to be. And we came to Virginia in Christian slave ships. The reason why that is important is because I don't see why anyone, any child of slavery today would want to get involved with any particular organization or any group of people who engage in Christianity or Judaism or Islam, or for that matter, Freemasonry. Because that's what I'm talking about, Chrislam, that's what I'm talking about. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, headed by Freemasonry. They are the ones that enslaved us. Don't take me at my word. Go check it out for yourself. The slaves expressed their gift of leadership by the music of the Negro spirituals. That is the significance that you need to understand. The slaves started to express their Israelite history and culture. They taught the heritage of Israel to the world through the Negro spirituals. These songs allowed the children of slavery to appeal to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, according to the terms of our everlasting covenant. This is how significant the spirituals were. But let us make now the connection with what occurred at Jericho. The slaves sang about Joshua at the river of Jordan. They also sang about the fall of the walls of Jericho. The song, I think if I remember correctly, Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. And that word fit is just a word that means fought. But they didn't want to say that, and I'll express that in a minute. They didn't want to say fought because they don't want Massa to catch on to what they were planning. So in the context of the song, the walls of Jericho then, when the slaves were singing it, the walls symbolized the obstacles that they faced in their struggle for freedom. Hence, singing about Joshua destroying these Masonic Christian walls would help them from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The slaves were inspired to put their faith and trust in the God of Israel while battling against their Christian oppressors. It served as a reminder that just like Joshua, we too, even today, can overcome any obstacle that stands in our way if we will continue to follow the instructions that were given by our Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So they sang the song because they were inspired about what Joshua did. In the face of adversity, the walls crumbled, and he did not even have to, just like in the days of Egypt, when Moses at the Red Sea did what he did, and the waters parted. We were fighting the most powerful nation on the planet back then. But they did not have any weapons, no bow and arrows, nothing. Not one arrow was shot at the Egyptians. We used water. And of course, the power of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. That is the spirit of leadership that we demonstrated. Joshua did the same thing. And I'm sure Priest Tyrone will get into a lot of the details. But thanks to Joshua's leadership at Jericho, the slaves developed their own shout. Remember, Joshua they walked around quietly for 6 days. And then on the 7th day, they blew the horns. And when they blew the horns, then the people shouted. What did they say or shout? I don't know specifically, but I would say, as an Israelite, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." Maybe that's what they said. I don't know. The point is, they shouted on the 7th day when the horns were being blown by the priests. But that's not all they did then. The slaves now, since 1619, in the United States, the New Egypt, developed their own shout. They had a ritual that was called the shout, or the ring shout. And I'll tell you what it was. It was an exciting religious ritual that was practiced by the slaves and their descendants. When they were worshiping secretly, because they couldn't worship before Massa, they had to go in secret in the woods or something, or a private place, property. When they were worshiping secretly, the slaves would move around in a circular format while singing and dancing and clapping their hands and stomping their feet. And they did this in a very rhythmic style. That was called the shout. The ritual was based on the same pattern that was used by Joshua when the walls of Jericho fell. They went around in a circular fashion. They were singing and dancing and clapping and stomping their feet. Why? Because they wanted to communicate with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, just like Joshua did, with the hope that all the obstacles that were in their path to freedom would be removed and would come tumbling down. I find that amazing. That's high level. And that inspiration is what we need. Because if Moses and Joshua laid the foundation, all we could do then is build on that. That's what I like. Thus the slaves spoke in coded terms, using stories, using poetry and music to communicate. And they did this while meeting secretly to plan their escape from Massa. Music was the vehicle that carried the plan from one person to another and helped to form what is now known, or what we call today, the Underground Railroad. Music. Now think of that. Isn't that incredible? It's ingenious. Later, the slaves and their descendants would compose many songs that reflected the spirit of leadership. There was a song that said, if I have it here, it said, "Marching round Selma like Jericho." And they sang that song. And another word within that song, it says, "For segregation must fall." Look these things up. Marching round Selma, I think Selma's in Alabama, like Jericho, for segregation walls must fall. These are what the slaves did through the inspiration of Joshua. The importance of this is we have to be careful as Israelites that we are able to communicate with the future, even though we are not there. we could pass on that spirit of leadership. Another song that they did, this one is quite a popular one. Didn't my Lord deliver Daniel from the lion's den? In other words, if he can do that in the face of adversity, how much more what they were going through. And another one, when the saints go marching in. There is no Saint Mary, as the Catholics will tell you. The saints are Israelites. And we are the ones that went marching with Joshua. These are how these songs were used as communication devices, secret devices. So the Negro spirituals allowed the slaves to appeal to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for their freedom and to remind him of his everlasting covenant with them. The Masonic Christian Hellboys first became aware of the Negro spirituals during the American Civil War. That was 1861 to 1865. And that was about 200 years after their origin. That's a long time. Again, I tell people sometimes that rap music was something I heard as a boy. And there was no one singing at the time, but the DJs would do it. Whether it's on the radio or at a party or something, they would rap as a way of introducing the music. And this was all over the Caribbean back then. But then it became popular in recent times. The slaves were using rap pieces as well. Remember, they put poetry to music. That's what they've done. And again, they did this not only in the United States, they did it from 711 to 1492 in Spain and Portugal. These are significant points that need to be understood. And it all came from what Joshua did at Jericho. So the Christians, as I said, Christianity, they became aware of what the slaves were doing with regards to the Negro spirituals, the musical side, some 200 years after their origin. They didn't know about it until 1865, 1861, that region. But this is nothing new. Again, we were using rap music way back. Now everybody is using it, and it's okay. I don't have a problem. And as a matter of fact, I saw a video where in Saudi Arabia, they were singing one of Bob Marley's songs. And I found it really funny. And they did a good job, by the way. But I found it very funny because they didn't have the, what should we say, the suave that is needed for that kind of music. But they did it. And you know what? I'm not surprised, because from our Negro spirituals came gospels, came the blues, soul, jazz, hip hop, R&B, etc. So basically, all the music that is used today in the United States and other nations came from us, came from the Negro spirituals. And we weren't trying to get rich. We weren't trying to show off our talent. We were strictly trying to communicate with the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. We were utilizing the gift of that leadership, the spirit of leadership that was given to us and was demonstrated by Moses, Joshua, Jesus, etc. And these are things or points that need to be made and understood, because that's part of our culture. That's part of our heritage. How do you communicate in a musical format, in a poetic format? And as I said, they did the shout. And the shout is more than just loud noise. They were dancing, they were singing, they were clapping, they were stomping, and they were moving. All of this in a rhythmic format, because they remembered what Joshua did at the walls of Jericho. And they saw the impact. They saw his success, and they wanted to duplicate that. And today, again, we do a lot of that. And you see where at some parties, they dance like that today. And the question begs itself, where did it come from? And does anyone care to understand the historical perspective of such musical skill sets? So as I said, Christianity started to adopt the slave songs. I remembered when I was a boy how before the Christian pastor started to preach, he would always call up this child of slavery, a woman, to sing. I didn't understand it until I came home here to Israel, and then I recognized that by her singing, he was able to extract the spiritual dynamic. Again, the gift of leadership applied. And after she did what she did, then he could go preach, because now the Spirit is with him. And again, these are things that are phenomenal. I also remembered when I was a boy how when the black pastors, as you call them back in the day, would do their preaching, they would sing. The whole, what do they call that thing, sermon, was almost a song. And there was that call and response format that was initiated back then. And I found that beautiful too. They don't do that anymore. But that had, even though it wasn't the proper way of the subject wasn't proper because it was done under a Christian perspective, the format showed something special about these people that you didn't get anywhere else. Again, look at do your own research and find these things for yourself. So the slaves knew nothing about Christianity. They didn't know about the Christian cross. They did not know about Christmas or Easter or worshiping on Saturn Day. And they didn't know anything about the January New Year. They did not sing either about the Sahara, even though they spent all that time in Africa. They did not sing about the River Niger. They did not sing about the River Congo. They did not sing about Timbuktu. And these are significant places that they should have known. And they led in these endeavors. But they didn't sing about those things. Instead, they sang about the Red Sea. They sang about Jerusalem. They sang about the River Jordan. They sang, of course, about Jericho, Zion, etc. Your question is, how did they know about these places and these things? So there were over 6,000 Negro spirituals alone in the United States. Plus, there were others sung throughout the Caribbean and Central America. So now I think we have a few rhetorical questions that I noted here for consideration. Number one, how did we get the term shout out? Shout out. Today, that term is used all over social media, all over the radio and television, all over the internet. What does it mean? But I already told you about the shout that the slaves put forward, using the same pattern that Joshua and our foreparents displayed over 3,000 years ago. So that is something that you want to think about. Shout out. Is it that they're trying to reach out to the God of Israel? You do your own research. The second question is, what is the meaning of the song, Many Rivers to Cross? Many rivers to cross. I don't know the other words, but there is something there as well. Why did the slaves build the Underground Railroad to Canaan's land? And by Canaan's land, they're talking secretly or in code, Canada. Notice that Canaan and Canada, there's a little bit of a similarity there. That's, again, is something for you to investigate. The fourth question, did the concept of an underground railroad inspire the first subway system? The concept of an underground railroad, did that inspire the first subway in modern times? Something to think about. Where did they get the concept from? Because the slaves talk about, it wasn't a physical railroad, but it acted like one. Now, and the fifth question is, was the shout-out of the slaves effective? The slaves made that shout-out to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Did the God of Israel hear their cries? Let us take a look at that and see. Let us see if there was help from God. And now we're dealing with heavenly matters here. So let's see. In 1759, William Wilberforce was born. He was a member of the British Parliament and one of the greatest leaders of the 19th century. He dedicated his life to the precepts of justice and freedom. And since 1789, he led the fight against slavery, which resulted in the abolition of the British slave trade in 1807 and the emancipation of the slaves on August 29th, 1833. William Wilberforce. He did not look like me, but he acted for me. He served me in a capacity where I could not serve, or any of the slaves for that matter, at that time. If the slaves had gone to the British Parliament, they would have taken them and put them to pick cotton or whatever. My point is, the God of Israel put him in a place to do for us what we could not do for ourselves. In 1780, the Underground Railroad was established with assistance from others that did not look like us. In 1792, the abolitionist Thaddeus Stevens was born. He was a member of the United States House of Representatives from Pennsylvania. His vision of justice for all resulted in the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution in 1868. It granted citizenship to the children of slavery and helped to remove some of the restrictions that they were facing at the time. Furthermore, on March 11, 1867, he introduced the Reparations Bill number H.R. 29 during the first session of the 40th U.S. Congress. It was a bold attempt to secure restitution for the children of slavery and has yet to bear fruit. Again, Thaddeus Stevens did not look like me, yet he was one of my best friends back then, and not only me, but all the descendants of slaves. The third point, in 1800, abolitionist John Brown was born. He fought for the children of slavery when they were not allowed to fight back against their Christian oppressors. He mingled his blood with the blood of the slave. In 1859, with a plan to free the slaves, he attacked the federal military division at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, and may have incited the American Civil War that it was intended to prevent. Remember, the Civil War, contrary to popular opinion, was fought over slavery. There is no other reason for them to be fighting, the South versus the North. So these are some of the assistance that was granted by the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. The birth of specific individuals to perform specific duties of leadership that would work in our favor when we could not do it ourselves. In 1808, the United States banned the importation of slaves. In 1861 to 65, as I said earlier, the American Civil War claimed 623,000 lives. They got punished for enslaving us at a time when we could not punish them directly. All of this occurred because we reached out, we shot out to our God, asking for assistance. And he returned the favor to us because he, as I said at the beginning, did not give up the ownership, the title of ownership of his royal family, even though we were being punished for our disobedience as slaves. He did all of that because the slaves themselves cried out to him they gave the shout out to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he heard their cries and responded. I like that. But that's not all. In 1865, slavery was abolished by the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Keep in mind that all of this came after our foreparents cried out through the use of the Negro spirituals to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. They followed the pattern that was set by Moses and Joshua, so that the God of Israel, who, even though he is punishing us, he is still our dad. He is still our father. He still has our interest at heart. But that's not all. There's more. Later, about 1985, after the Underground Railroad, the train had left and landed here in Canada, the God of Israel demonstrated even greater mercy. About 1985, our elder Shadrach Porter, the messenger of the covenant, and our master teacher arrived. And he started to rebuild the pillar of truth right here, which is our Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Had it not been for Elder Shadrach, the spirit of leadership would not have been restored here at Toronto, based on our national scriptures that were translated into English and published in 1611. So all of this occurred. And again, you're looking at the present through the eyes of the past and the future. We are seeing what was done by Joshua and how it impacted the slaves since 1619. And now, since 1985, our elder Shadrach has started to rebuild this Israelite nation at the border of Egypt, just as it was in the days of Moses, at the border of Egypt, in the promised land of Canaan that Joshua conquered. He restored the spirit of leadership based, as I said, on the national documentation of our Holy Scriptures in 1611. Elder Shadrach also restored our everlasting covenant and our national heritage. Again, all of this based on the shout out that the slaves made with the Negro spirituals to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Elder Shadrach restored our holy altar. Never before in this new Egypt has there been an altar to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob until Elder Shadrach, the messenger of the covenant, arrived. He reopened the gates of truth and freedom. And again, as I said, all of this is a fulfillment of the shout out that came as a result of the Negro spirituals, following the pattern set by Joshua when he conquered the walls of Jericho. And he did it through the shout. He restored, Elder Shadrach did, the royal priesthood of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He restored our spring new year. All of this happened since 1985. And this, of course, is something that is unique and distinctive to our Israelite nation. Nobody else knows about the spring new year. Nobody else knows about the holy days besides us. Because these are the, what should I say? These are the symbols of leadership that was given to us, that was given to Moses, that he passed on to Joshua, and Joshua passed it down to us through the leadership by the prophets. All of this came And now Elder Shadrach picked up that baton and demonstrated that same gift of leadership, spiritual gift of leadership. He also established the light for the Gentiles. He restored that at the pillar at the border, so that the Gentile Europeans, some of them who assisted our enslaved ancestors along the path of the Underground Railroad, he made sure that their descendants will see the light of truth from the pillar at the border, even here at Toronto, Canada. And they too would come and embrace the word of truth as taught by the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. All of this is very significant. As I said, it is not an isolated event. It's a collaborative effort that goes way back to Noah, as we said here. The curse of Noah against Canaan. Canaan did what he had to do because Noah said this is what would happen. And then Joshua came along and did what he had to do. And now our Elder Shadrach taking over and doing what he has to do as well. And as I said before, these Negro spirituals were not just music in the sense of today. That's why today I cannot stand this rap stuff that is talking of foolishness, because there's much more wisdom. There's greater leadership to be found in music if it's used correctly. Today, you get that constant repetition that affects the soul negatively for those that do not understand. But we know what music is all about because we are accustomed from our youth to using music to tell a story, to instruct the young ones, and to allow them to learn from the wisdom of our God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Whether it is done in the format of a gospel or in the format of blues or R&B, soul, jazz, hip-hop, whatever, it can still be constructive if used properly. In the face of adversity, then, and this is the most heinous adversity, the slaves glorified the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and thereby confirmed his everlasting covenant with them. They displayed to the world the heritage of our Israelite nation. It is such a wonderful opportunity to go all the way back to the beginning and to work your way through even to the present, looking at the gift that was received, the gift of the spirit of leadership, whether it was given to Noah, whether it was given to Moses, whether it was given to Joshua, whether it was given to the prophets and the apostles, whether it was given to our Elder Shadrach. All of them followed the same pattern of the spirit of truth. I like that. All of them humbled themselves, humility, opened up the gates, and disciplined themselves, followed by obedience. Because without faith, or without obedience, faith is useless. And I like all of what they have taught me through their action. So maybe, I'm not very good at singing, but maybe it is time for me to go and sing some songs and make room for Priest Tyrone, because I'm sure that he has a lot to say with regards to what Joshua has done as far as opening up the gates of truth and righteousness, so that the power and the mercy of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob may come down upon his anointed. And with that, I say peace.
Hello. I hope you are enjoying our program so far. We are so thrilled you have decided to join us for today's event. If this is your first time, go ahead and hit that subscription button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all of our upcoming videos. Also, please like, comment, and share our videos. We truly appreciate it. We are so passionate about sharing our Israelite culture, and we welcome your generosity in helping us to reach more people. So please feel free to leave us donations. If you are thinking about joining us and would like to learn more, fill out the form in the description below, and one of our team members from the Welcome Committee will be in contact with you shortly. I thank you for your time and look forward to seeing you soon. And with that, I bid you peace, love, truth, prosperity, and power.
Thank you very much, Elder Michael. That was an amazing opener to this particular subject matter of the spirit of leadership. Elder Michael really went from the cultural aspect right to the spiritual aspect of the spirit of leadership, and he walked you through. And we were having a conversation just a little earlier that this is really a 2-hour presentation for Elder Michael by himself, let alone because there's so much Elder Michael has to say in this particular subject matter that is so fruitful, that is really beneficial for us to understand what it really means to be guided by the spirit of leadership. And I hope that everyone who's been listening can double back when you have some time and to really listen to what Elder Michael said and how he opened up and how he expressed that spirit of leadership and broke it down to us from the days of Noah all the way down to Joshua. Now, I like Joshua. I've been reading Joshua for a couple of weeks now again, and I've gone a little bit deeper into it. And it's so true that when you read the scriptures over and over again, you tend to find and see things that you didn't really quite see before. And it's always relevant to the time that you're in. So before I start and I go into the particular subject matter, let's begin with a psalm. Blessed is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he shall be blessed upon the earth. And thou wilt not deliver him into the will of his enemy. The Lord will strengthen him upon a bed of languishing. Thou wilt make all his bed in his sickness. I said, Lord, be merciful unto me, and heal my soul, for I have sinned against thee. Mine enemies speak evil of me. When shall he die and his name perish? And if he come to see me, he speaketh vanity. His heart gathereth iniquity to itself. And when he goeth abroad, he telleth it. All that hate me whisper together against me. Against me do they devise my hurt. An evil disease, say they, cleaveth fast unto him. And now that he lieth, he shall rise up no more. Yea, mine own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, hath lifted up his heel against me. But thou, O Lord, be merciful unto me, and raise me up, that I may requite them. By this I know that thou favorest me, because my enemy does not triumph over me. And as for me, thou upholdest me in mine integrity, and settest me before thy face forever. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, from everlasting and to everlasting. Amen and amen. When I spoke to Elder Michael on the new moon about how I felt about reading Joshua again, and I had spoken also to our elder Andel, and I was expressing what I had seen within the scriptures and what I had discovered or I'd learnt again, and my eyes were opened into another part of the spiritual aspect of leadership, the spirit of leadership. I began to see a definitive pattern, not just from the days of Moses, but right through to Joshua, and from then every leader from there onwards. There was a specific pattern, not only with the leadership, but also with the spirit of that leadership, and also with the people. There was this amazing connection that they all shared together. And I just became very super excited, I would say, about it, because it's so relevant even in today at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. And Elder Michael spoke incredibly well in saying about our Elder Shadrach and his spirit of leadership that he has shown with us even today. And there's so much similarities. I would dare even to go further and say it's almost carbon copy of the exact same spirit aspect that our fathers Moses had, and even with Joshua, and even moving forward with our elder Shadrach. It's so similar, yet still, I would say, even carbon copy. So just to get into the aspect of where I would like to go, let's start by going to the book of Exodus. We'll go to the book of Exodus, and I'll start at chapter 19. And I'm just going to read a few verses here. In fact, I may even read close to the entire chapter. But there's a part that I really want to get to in terms of that spirit. We understand that Moses he saw the burning bush, and the angel of the Lord appeared as a burning bush, and the voice of God came out of it and said, "Take off the shoes from off thy feet, from the place whereon thou standest is holy ground." You know, and there began, if you like, that spirit, that high level of spiritual interaction from our Father with Moses, his chosen leader, his friend. And just stay with me along those lines. You have the spiritual aspect and you have the human factor together, working together. But there's an obedience there and there's a humility there from the human aspect. So I'm going to read just from verse 1 of Exodus 19. And it said, "In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel." First of all, let's stay with it. The spirit of leadership, the greatest spirit at this time, is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, working with a man, telling him to speak unto the house of Jacob and the children of Israel in the wilderness of Sinai, in secret. This was all happening, and the formation of leadership has already been shown in Egypt, but it's going to continue, and I am going somewhere. And you read on, and it says in verse 3, "And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel." Very specific. Very specific. Keep my commandments, my covenant, my word. Obey my voice, and ye shall be a kingdom of priests unto me, and an holy nation, and holy nation. And Moses came and called the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And this is the part that I want to get to. And all the people answered together and said, all the people, the children of Israel, the children of Jacob, and all those that left with Moses out of the land of Egypt, all of the people came together and they said this. And they answered, let's go back. And Moses called, let me go back to 7. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. Let's just put a pin in that just for one moment. Just for a moment. Because sometimes we can read it and skip it and then we just completely miss the essence of it. The key factor is here. One, you have the greater spirit of leadership that is with Moses. Make no mistake about that fact. The spirit of our God, God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob is with Moses. Remember this as we're going through. And he called the people. And the people, he gave the instructions that was commanded by him, the God of Israel, to give unto them. The people, the brethren, if you like, responded to the man who has the spirit of leadership with him, saying, all that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. That means you agree with what Moses has said by the mouth, or what the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has said by the mouth of Moses. Therefore, you agree in doing all what Moses, the representative, has said you ought to do. Isn't that amazing? Yes, we're going somewhere because we're showing that there is a spirit of leadership. And if there's a spirit of leadership, there has to be those that follow that leadership in obedience to the voice of our God, as we just read a few verses up. So they're saying, I will obey what you have said, Moses, for it has come by the spirit, the greater spirit of leadership that is with you. And that is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. We will follow what you have said. Stay with me. I'm going to read on, verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I will come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. Do you see? Even then, my God has to still enforce that he is with Moses to the people. Even though they said, we believe you, Moses. All what you have said we will do. But my God, in his wisdom, still has, I'm going to come in a thick cloud close to you. And so the people may hear when I speak to you. Let's read on a bit more. It says, verse 10, and the Lord said unto Moses, go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes and be ready against the third day. Excuse me. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai, and thou shalt set bounds unto the people around about, saying, take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mountain. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives. Do you understand what he's saying? The preparation is there. Now remember what they said. All what you have said, Moses, we will do. So he's coming again by the word of our Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and telling the people how to sanctify themselves, to clean themselves, to wash their clothes, and come not at their wives. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceedingly loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God. Could you imagine that scenery? I know we read it and maybe the imagination may not be there. Could you imagine? You're coming out, you've prepared yourself. You've acknowledged the spirit of leadership is with Moses. You listen to the voice of Moses, the leader who's been put in place at that time. And he's prepared you to go and wash yourself, clean yourself, mind, body, soul, spirit, purge yourself. And now you hear the thundering, the lightnings, the trumpet is sounding. And Moses comes and he bids you, says, come now to meet God. Isn't that beautiful, brethren? Isn't that a beautiful thing? You are now ready to meet the creator of the heavens and the earth. Why? But with who though? Who has he put there to bring you to him? Let's read on. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the nether part of the mount, and Mount Sinai was altogether on as smoke, because the Lord descended upon it fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. That is something to behold and to think about. You're talking about the spirit of leadership is with Moses. And the people have said, we believe what you say, Moses. We're going to acknowledge what you've said because the Spirit of God is with you, Moses. And I love that because it's showing a level of discipline and hierarchy and responsibility. Because now Moses has a great responsibility not to let the people down. Because when someone turns around and says to you, I trust you, Moses. I believe in your words, Moses. You cannot let those people down. You cannot. You have a responsibility now to live up to a high level of expectation because that spirit now has to work with you. So now you even have a responsibility to that spirit to be humble, so that spirit is able to work through you. Again, the spirit of leadership is powerful and it's chosen one man. And I'm going to read it through. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount. And the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. And the Lord said unto Moses, go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. Let the priests also which come near to the Lord sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. And Moses said unto the Lord, the people cannot come up against Sinai, for thou chargest us, saying, set bounds about the mount and sanctify it. And the Lord said unto him, away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priest and the people break forth to come up unto the Lord, lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people and spake unto them. Again, we're showing a level of responsibility. You're showing leadership. The God of Israel did this particular exercise for a reason. And he did it to show the people who his leader is. Because you see, our fathers are very tricky. He knows what they're like. He's seen what they're like. He's seen what they're about. Yes, he saw all the murmurings. He heard the murmurings. You read before in the chapters before where they were murmuring for water and so on. So he understands the people. But this he did to show, this is my servant Moses. Hear he him. Let's go to the book of Numbers. We'll turn to the book of Numbers, chapter 27. And I'm going to read from verse 18. Again, we're just showing the setup that they said that everything what Moses has said, they will listen to, that they would adhere to. And I'm coming somewhere. So I'm going to read from the book of Numbers, chapter 27. And I'll read from verse 18. And it reads as thus. It says, and the Lord said unto Moses, take thee Joshua, because now Moses is coming up to the time where he has to now go and sleep with his fathers. And now a new leader must arise. Again, that spirit of leadership must be passed on. There must be a successor in Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, take thee Joshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit. I didn't say anything. This is what we just read. A man in whom is the Spirit, and lay thine hand upon him. He is an Israelite. No other nations, no other philosophy, an Israelite. And set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and give him a charge in their sight. And thou shalt put some of thine honor upon him, that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient. Again, that spirit of leadership that Moses has. The God of Israel is commanding Moses, you're about to come out of this world, but there must be now another. And I want you to put your spirit, your hand upon him. And I want you to give him some of that honor, which I gave to you. Give it now unto Joshua. That spirit may continue and now work with Joshua. Why? Because he just said, in whom is the Spirit. So their spirit is selected and is chosen Joshua. We're coming somewhere. Stay with me. And Moses did, verse 22, and Moses did as the Lord commanded him. And he took Joshua and set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation. And he laid his hands upon him and gave him a charge as the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses. You see, it's very important to understand this. That spirit of leadership can never ever be stagnant. It cannot be ruled out of Israel. It stays within Israel. It would seek the right person, the right man to lay upon that will lead the children of Israel in humility and according to what? Obedience. The people must be obedient. I'm coming somewhere all together. This is all relevant. This movement of the spirit of leadership. Then you have God's chosen and He's anointed, and the people all work together. And we will see why. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy now. 34. Again, I concur with Elder Michael, and I say that this is very much a 2-hour in-depth session, but I want you to understand the spirit of leadership and how beneficial it is for us to follow that spirit of leadership whom the God of Israel has chosen to have it. It is not up to our personal desires, it's not up to our personal wishes, and it's not up to who we elect. It is down to how my God has chosen and whom He's chosen, as you see right here. And that is the same in today's term. So we'll go to the book of Deuteronomy 34. And I'm going to read from verse 1 to 12. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountains of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah unto the utmost sea, and the south of the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of the palm trees, unto Zoar. Understand how he saw this. And the Lord said unto him, this is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine own eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. Listen to what the Father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob just said. And look at the spirit of leadership and how it's worked. With Abraham, first it was Abram, then he said, your name shall no longer be Abram, but Abraham. And then after that, Abraham beget Isaac. The same spirit worked with Isaac. Isaac now beget Jacob. The same spirit visited Jacob. God wrestled with Jacob, surnamed him, what is your name? Shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel. And there came the 12 sons of Israel. And the Spirit of our God was with Israel. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't move. It's chosen who is decided to choose. That Spirit, one Spirit. And it's leading us, one, with one man and one leader. That's it. All right, let's get into it more. Verse 5. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab against Beth Peor. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And Joshua, the son of Nun, full of the spirit of wisdom. The spirit of wisdom. It said before in the book of Numbers, he was filled. He had the Spirit in him. That's something, you've got to understand that. You've got to understand that. It wasn't a spirit of uppiness. It wasn't a spirit of pomposity. It wasn't a spirit of I know everything. It was a spirit of humility. It was a spirit of meekness, that the Spirit of my God, the spirit of leadership, could now work with him to lead the people. That's the point, but I'm getting somewhere deeper, just a little bit more. I'll read 9 again. And Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as the Lord commanded Moses. So now they showed Joshua the same honor, the same respect as they did Moses, because they acknowledged and saw what had happened, that Moses has charged Aaron publicly, put his hands upon him, and gave him his honor, some of his honor. That is very important to understand. As a people, you must understand that. You have to understand this. And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses. Of course, no way. I can see that. Whom the Lord knew face to face, in all the signs and wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land. And in all the mighty hand and in all the great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all Israel. They saw the miracles. Excuse me. They saw the wonders. They saw they saw things, brethren, friends and guests. They felt the Spirit move. They were healed. They were moved. Their lives were saved. They saw it. Because why? They bonded themselves. This is where I'm going. They bonded themselves to the spirit of leadership, which is with them, the leader in whom was selected and chosen. They didn't go against the leader. They did not. Because if you go against the man in charge, well, there's a consequence. And I didn't say, I don't want to say Priest Tyrone said all these words. I didn't say anything. Everything is written. That spirit of leadership is so important to understand. It's constantly with us, and it's with our elder Shadrach today. That's where I'm going. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's going to move through to the next leader, and the next leader, and the next leader, and the next leader in the same fashion as our fathers. No difference. No difference. exactly the same way. Understand what's being said. So I'm going to go swiftly now to the book of Joshua. And I'm going to read Joshua 1. I'm going to read from the first verse. Got a lot of reading today. And it reads as thus. And in this first chapter, to summarize, it's really showing Joshua, and God of Israel is showing Joshua and assuring Joshua of his presence with him. That is important to understand. That is incredible to understand. Now, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, saying, son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. So now you're seeing the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob speaking to Joshua in a manner form like he spoke unto Moses. I'm not saying Joshua went up in the cloud, but we can't fathom how he was speaking to him, but yet still there's communication. The Spirit is communicating with the new leader. Do you see where we're going here? Okay, let's get into it more. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that I have given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun, shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. This is the Spirit of God speaking to Moses, to Joshua. The spirit of leadership. Do you understand what's happening here? I don't know, I feel excited about this because I can understand, I can see the exact similarity in today's terms. The exact. There's no change, there's no different. Let's get more into it. Be strong. Sometimes it's very difficult to be strong in a world today, and especially with our children, with the children of Jacob. They're so hard to deal with and difficult. Isn't that right, Uncle Lewis? Very difficult, because we have to be able to deliver this hard message, and our elder Shadrach had to go out there and take this message. Listen, it was said to elder Shadrach, look, be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous. Why very courageous? Because you're going to have to deal with some things, Joshua. You're going to have to experience some things, Joshua. But I'm telling you, I will be with you all the days of your life. I'm talking about the spirit of leadership here now. Now we transition from Moses, now we transition to Joshua. There's not multiple spirits, multiple leaders, multiple opinions. One leadership, one spirit speaking to one leader. The next leader, Joshua. Let's get more into it. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. Listen to the secret, because this again was said in secret. Now the world knows it, but they still don't really know about it. Good. We know. This is what he's saying for Joshua to do. But it's not just Joshua. Let's read in. The book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayst observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. This is the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, speaking to Joshua about how he should lead himself and the great people. Again, the nation, the Israelites, the children of Jacob. Let's read on. Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. That is the spirit of leadership speaking to the leader of the people. That spirit is leading him and saying, look, I am with you. I am the greater spirit. You have a good spirit within you because Moses laid his hand upon you. And what I gave to him, he passed it on to you. He gave you some of his honor and he charged you before the people. But listen up, it goes on, there's more. It says, then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the host and command the people, saying, prepare you victuals, for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan to go to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you to possess it. And to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half tribe of Manasseh, speak Joshua, saying, remember the word which Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, saying, the Lord your God hath given you rest, and hath given you this land. Your wives, your little ones, and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side Jordan. But ye shall pass before your brethren armed, all the mighty men of valor, and help them, until the Lord have given you, your brethren, rest, as he hath given you. And they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them. Then ye shall return unto the land of your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses, the Lord's servant, gave on this side Jordan, toward the sun rising. Why did he say this? Because it's an instruction. Let's think it's an instruction. Moses has now passed. Joshua is now in charge. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the spirit of leadership is with him and is giving him the instructions of what to do and to speak unto the people. And the people now must do what? As you read back in the book of Numbers, they must be obedient to his word, because it's coming from the spirit of leadership, the greater spirit. Let's go in more. And they answered Joshua, saying, this is the part that I want you all to listen to. All right, okay, take a deep breath and listen, because I want you to also hear yourself. Brethren, friends, guests, online viewers, you've also said the same thing. Listen. And they answered Joshua, saying, all that thou commandest us, we will do. And whithersoever thou sendest us, we will go. According as we hearkened unto Moses in all things, so we will hearken unto thee. Only the Lord thy God be with thee as he was with Moses. Listen up again. It's not finished. This is the people. This is you saying these words. Listen to what you said. Whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment, and will not hearken unto thy word in all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of a good courage. Do you understand that? You see, there's nothing new under the sun, or invented as something, as Chris said, under the moon. That means you have bonded yourself, you've made an oath, a verbal statement aloud. I will do whatever you say. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is with you. Whatever you say, I'm with you. You made a covenant. And it's funny because in the Bible study, Elder Donna yesterday spoke about that. She had no idea what I was doing today. None. Or on Tuesday. rather. And listen, you made the covenant. How many of you here said you love Elder Shadrach? I will do anything for you, Elder. Yes, you did. I will never leave your side, Elder. Whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. True or false? Where are you today? The same spirit with Moses, with Joshua, is with our Elder Shadrach, our Elder Andal, Elder Freddie, the council. Do you understand? Do you understand? All my head's getting hot. Do you understand that? That when you bond yourself to that, you are doing exactly what our fathers we did of old. We have said that spirit that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is with you. We will do whatever you say. We will keep the laws. Have you not? Have you not kept the laws? It's new moon, Sabbath day, the holy convocations, Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of Tabernacles, blowing of trumpets, Pentecost. You haven't kept of course you kept the laws. You kept them holy and clean unto him. By whose command has that happened? By whose instruction, as Elder Michael said? By Elder Shadrach. So you said you would do it and be obedient. And if you didn't, I didn't say it. I'm not saying you're going to get sniped. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's what I'm saying is that you condemned yourself when you said, if whosoever does not now obey it, this is the reward. Whosoever he that doth rebel, that's a nice word. Rebellious, stubborn, and stiff-necked. That's what you said. You said that if you rebel against thy commandment and will not hearken unto thy words in all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. I didn't say that. That's a hard thing because everyone thinks about, yes, we're going to do it, but no one thinks of the aftermath of disobedience. Because back in the book of Numbers, it said, only be obedient to my word and to my voice. And that is being obedient to the spirit of leadership. And that's what got me very excited, because I was like, it's exactly the same process. Exactly. Let's go on. Joshua chapter. In fact, I'm going to go to Joshua chapter 5. Elder Michael said something and it tweaked my ear again. Just to solidify that spirit of leadership. Just to solidify that Joshua had the spirit of leadership with him and the people had to listen. Just to solidify. Joshua chapter 5. And I'm going to go. It talks about the Passover observed in Gilgal and so on, but I want to go to verse 13. This is where I want to go to. And it goes like, and reads like this, just a few verses. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, art thou for us or for our adversaries? Do you know the highly spiritual environment he's living in? Because he's asking, are you for me or for our adversaries? But this can't be no ordinary man. He wouldn't look like me or any of us. I don't know. Elder Michael said it could be. Excuse me, Elder Michael, no. But just understand the spiritual environment that he's in. It's rich, it's infused, because his eyes are open to see a man drawn with a sword, and he approached him. But what did he say? Let's read on. Verse 14, and he said, nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. You see, I don't know if you fully get this, brethren, friends, guests, and guys out there. You're talking about the spirit of leadership. The man who said way back in Deuteronomy, he has the spirit of wisdom had been given unto him because of Moses, passed on to him. This man is now communicating with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. he now has the captain of the Lord's host visiting him. He didn't visit the other one over there, this one over there. Everybody's talking that they know all these things. He didn't visit them. He visited Joshua, one man. And that's the exciting part. It really is. And I don't know if you captivate it just yet. And he said, nay, but as the captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said unto him, what saith my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, loose thy shoe from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. Where did this also happen? In the book of Exodus with who? Moses. Same spirit. Oh my gosh. Oh, Michael, I've got, they call it goosebumps, innit? All over my head. All over my back. Because I can feel what, you can just imagine that same spirit. It's there. It hasn't left. It was with Moses. Now with Joshua. The place where Joshua was holy. You got the captain of the Lord's host there. Now about to speak to my brethren Joshua. I love it. I love it. And, Elder Michael is correct. I wish we had 2 hours each. We could really dissect and really go through. But maybe there may be a part 2. But let's go for now to the book of Joshua. Again, stay in Joshua, but we'll go to Joshua chapter 10. Now this one I like. I like this one. Joshua chapter 10. Because talk about conspiracies of the 5 kings. Why are people always trying to mess with us? This is what I don't understand, Lennox. Why they always want to mess with the children of Israel? It's like they're always testing us. It was bad enough the 5 kings, their hearts sank when they heard that the children of Israel had come over Jordan. Like, oh my gosh, those people that killed our enemies, you can imagine they're quaking. The kings, they are afraid. But in like manner, what did the children of Israel have to do again with our God? Showing the leadership. He said, sharpen your knives, sharpen them. And they had to be circumcised again because they were in the wilderness 40 years, is that they just became foolish. And they forgot all these things. They had to be circumcised again. Same process. There's a process that takes place. That leadership. Now my covenant is established. Now my young men are strong. Now you're ready to go into battle. Let's go. Because you're in one accord with the spirit of leadership. You can't do it outside of that. Could you imagine if they weren't circumcised, Elder Michael, and they go and fight battles? The Hebrew Israelites will start talking all these things. But that's not the case. Let's read on. I'm going to read from verse 1. Yes, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. Now it came to pass when Adonizek, king of Jerusalem, had heard how Joshua had taken Ai and had utterly destroyed it and had done to Jericho and her king. So he had done to Ai and her king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were among them, that they feared greatly, because Gibeon was a great city, as one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all the men thereof were mighty. Wherefore Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, sent unto Hoham, king of Hebron, and unto Piram, king of Jermuth, and unto Zephiah, king of Lachish, and unto Dibia, the king of Elgon, saying, come up unto me, and help me, that we may smite Gibeon, for we have made peace with Joshua and the children of Israel. Oh yes. Let's go. Therefore the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Elgon, gathered themselves together and went up, they and all their hosts, and encamped before the Gibeon and made war against it. And the men of Gibeon sent unto Joshua to the camp of Gilgal, saying, slack not thy hand for thy servants. Come up to us quickly and save us and help us, for all the king of the Amorites that dwell in the mountains are gathered together against us. I love this plan. I love this plan of the God of Israel. Do you know that? I love it so much. You're going to see. So Joshua ascended from Gilgal he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. Lewis, mighty men of valor. But you have to understand, they were in obedience and in alignment with Joshua. Do you understand? That spirit of leadership was with him. I'm going somewhere. And the Lord said unto Joshua, fear not, fear them not, for I have delivered them into thine hand. They shall not a man of them stand before thee. This is the spirit of leadership. When your enemy comes up against you, yet still you're able to overcome and pursue, recover, and take all of their possession. My God said, don't worry. Don't fear none of them. Don't. Though they war against you, they're joking. I have delivered them into your hands already. Joshua therefore came up unto them suddenly and went up from Gilgal all night, and the Lord discomfited them before Israel and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goeth up to Bethhoron, and smote them at Azekah and unto Makkedah. And it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel and were in the going down of Bethhoron, and the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them unto Azekah, and they died. They were more which died with hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew with the sword. This is someone that, again, I'm trying to show you something. When the spirit of leadership is with the man in whom he hath chosen, there is success. There is victories in any war battle situation, because the spirit of our God is with that man. And the people are in obedience to the voice of that man. There can only be success because there is unison. There is unity of the people and the spirit. Where there is rebellion, then those ones will go and die in the wilderness, as they should. But the key thing is to stay in unity with the spirit of leadership. Let's read on, because I like this actual scripture a lot. This is the most exciting part out of Mr. Lewis. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel. Guys, listen, this is very important. Let me take a sip of water. You see, Moses did something great, where he was faced, he had the whole of children of Israel behind him. And he's standing, he's looking at the sea. And he's like, wow, God, what am I going to do? And Moses was standing there. And the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said, why criest unto me? What is that in your hand? Lift up thy rod, the rod, and part the sea. He parted the sea. That's the spirit of leadership with Moses. Understand what I'm talking about. Because the leader has to lead by example. The leader has to lead with great many miracle signs, things with him. Oh my gosh. Let's get into it. Then spoke Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Hajalon. Oh my gosh. He said to the sun and the moon to stand still. And it stood still. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hastened not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man. For the Lord fought for Israel. That's it. I can close the book and go home. I could. because it just sealed it right there. He had already chosen the man to whom his voice will hearken to whom the people said, we will hearken to your voice. And that therein is the spirit of leadership, the correct alignment to follow. And that is here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. This is so powerful to understand that the spirit that was with him, he was able to command the sun to stand still and the moon to stand still all day. You don't go down. You cannot go down until this is done. And the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob hearken to the voice of a man. The man whom he said, I will be with. The man whom he said, I will not fail thee. The man whom Moses put his hand upon and passed on his honor and even a spirit unto him. Because within Joshua himself was a good spirit. And that is where you should be. That is enabling you. That should make you feel I'm in the right place. Because my God is in control. He is in control. This is a wonderful story. Because why? It said, for the Lord fought for Israel. No other nation. No other nation. He fought for Israel. Just think about that for a moment. And Joshua returned and all Israel with him unto the camp of Gilgal. But this is the part where I say, is perfect. I like this part. Oh. And Joshua returned and all Israel with him unto the camp of Gilgal. But these 5 kings fled and hid themselves in a cave in Makkedah. And it was told Joshua, saying, the 5 kings are found hid in a cave at Makkedah. And Joshua said, roll great stones upon the mouth of the cave, and set men by it to keep them. And stay ye not, but pursue after your enemies, and smite the hindermost part of them. Suffer them not to enter into their cities, for the Lord your God have delivered them into your hands. And it came to pass, when Joshua and the children of Israel had made an end of slaying them with a very great slaughter, till they were consumed, that the rest which remained of them entered into fenced cities. And all the people returned to the camp of Joshua to Makkedah in peace. None moved his tongue against any of the children of Israel. In other words, you watch your mouth when you speak against the children of Israel. And I would say it was written in a very humble manner. I do. I say that part was written in a humble manner. What it really should say is no one spoke against Joshua. No one dared to raise their mouth or their tongue against the leader, Joshua, because the spirit of leadership, the spirit of my God was with him. It was just written very humbly. That's what I think. And this, again, I've only got a few minutes left. And this is going to conclude in terms of how the spirit of leadership works. It starts and it's chosen a man. And the Spirit works with that man and communes with that man. And the man will bring the message from our God to the people. The people will see and make great wonders in their eyes and see the wonders and say, all what you have said, we agree with. All the laws, the statutes, the commandments, we shall keep. Let's put it in today's term. Our elder Shadrach, the spirit of leadership is with him. And you've all said, Elder, wow, all what you have said, we will do. The new moon days, we will sanctify ourselves and we will come in our clean apparel and we will keep the new moon. We will also do it on the Sabbath day. You said this because your actions have spoken. You said that you will do this and you'll be obedient to our elder Shadrach's voice. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see here the same movement, the same spirit? It's the same, there's no difference. You said that you will follow my God's laws, statutes, commandments, and be obedient to his voice and his voice alone. Under Elder Shadrach. No different to Moses and Joshua. No difference. And this is what we mean when we're talking about that spirit of leadership. Because it's leading us in the right and plain path. Because by it, it said in the book of Joshua, therefore, Joshua 1, you would have good success. You will be prosperous in the way that you will go. There is no one that can stand against you in the time of battle because you have followed the directions, the leadership of the greater spirit I send to you, and you hearken unto the voice of the man whom I have chosen. You may not ever make the mistake of, I don't like this one and that one and this one and this one. That is not for you to even comment on. Just remember what it just said. And all the people returned to the camp to Joshua at Makeda in peace. None moved his tongue against any of the children of Israel, because you kept his laws, his statutes and commandments, and was obedient to the voice of Joshua, for he got his command and instruction from that spirit of leadership, even the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. May you always, forever, always remember our God and never forget his chosen leaders, even our elder Shadrach, whom we are grateful even to this day that we know our Father's name. Peace.